Um, was anyone on our first webinar way back in June, by chance? Or is this totally new to everyone? Alright, well that's great. So my name's Tim Vogel. I'm a fourth-year environmental engineering student at the U of S. And I've joined the Safe Drinking Water Foundation as part of this Student Action on Canadian Water Attitudes competition for this school year. And today we're going to talk a little bit about urban water issues. So here's just a quick description of the Safe Drinking Water Foundation. They've been distributing kits focused on water quality issues for students. If you want any more information about ordering kits, please visit our website. Has anyone used the kits before? Yeah? Oh, great, great. So just a little exercise here. So this competition, we have people from all over the country, and we're really excited about it. And if you could maybe just click that star and post on the map where you're located. See if that works. Okay, so yeah, so we're really spread out today. I know there might be some from BC as well. So this competition is part of RBC's Blue Water Project, and it's for students in grades K to 12 competing in two different brackets, one for elementary school and one for high school. And the focus will be to investigate, educate, and report on a water issue in your community of 10,000 or more. So we're asking you guys to check the awareness of the community, see what people know about a particular water issue, and see if you can maybe get them to change their attitudes and make it a better water situation. If you want any more information generally about the competition, it is on our website, or you could send me an email and I'll be happy to discuss it with you further. So, as part of the RBC Blue Water Project, they found that very few Canadians actually knew where their water comes from before it comes into your house. And that's a great place to start when you're thinking with your class about what a particular issue might be. So think about where your water comes from and what happens to it before it comes into your home and maybe once it leaves. And it's not limited just to drinking water quality issues, but it could be surface runoff, energy for water treatment, and these are just a few, and we'll talk about more as we go along today. So this is a picture of recent flooding in Japan. I'm not sure if people saw this on the news, but this is what happens when Mother Nature gets in the way of, or our cities get in the way of Mother Nature, and so all this runoff got stuck in Japan. And it's not just in Japan, we've had recent flooding here as well. And this just kind of shows, this creates a lot of water issues. It's high demand on the infrastructure as well as treating and cleaning things up post-flood. So some communities may have structures or systems in place to manage excess runoff. And so what the big problem could be in your community is that water cannot get through pavement, it doesn't soak through. And there's a push for some places to unpave areas so that water can easily get into the ground and it won't run off and stay and cause floods and cause damage that way. So that's a potential for your group to investigate, is how you can, if people know about any ideas for unpaving areas or using material that will let the water go through. Here's a little bit about dams as well. For urban settings, a lot of our water demands have to be met by controlling water so that we have a constant source. And this can come by damming a river. I also have a beaver dam over here just to show. So what happens is you block off a portion of a river or a stream, and then it all collects in a big pool, and so that we can use that pool for a reservoir or to store water for when we want to use it. So I'm not sure, some communities may have direct contact with dams, so there could be some issues that come up from dam use as well. Dams can change the landscape, so you can see how it's before they put a dam in, and afterwards they've created a big area, a big pool of water to store the water, but it's kind of changed the landscape a little bit. And this could affect some surrounding areas and maybe your urban area as well. Evaporation. So when you make a big pool of water, there's more area that the sun can hit, and that means that that water is going to evaporate. And once it evaporates, it goes into the air, and the winds can blow it away, and it may never come back. So you could investigate, if you have a dam source for your water supply, what kind of evaporation is happening, how much is lost, if this affects your water supply for your city, and maybe some strategies to conserve your water supply. Water use. So the average Canadian can use more than 300 liters of water every day. We're one of the world's largest users of water. And I think this will be a big one for people to investigate, is how you and your family can kind of limit your water use and save water that way. So 300 liters of water, that's, I don't know, that's probably 5 to 600 pop bottles of water every day, which is a lot of water. And that comes from brushing your teeth, cooking your meals, drinking water, having a shower. And you may be able to check your water meter in your house. You could see how much your family is using every day and figure out how you can save water to reduce that number. So potential projects for you guys to investigate: be turning off the tap when you brush your teeth, taking shorter showers, not watering your lawn as much, or maybe not at all, washing your car at car wash versus at home. Does anyone know how this might affect your water use, or washing your car at a car wash versus at home? Seems like we got some answers maybe coming in. Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of times when you go through the car wash, the water that's used to wash your car gets collected again and goes through a little treatment to get some of the dirt out and other stuff, and then they reuse it for the next person who wants to wash their car. But if you're just washing your car at home in your driveway, and that will just go straight down the storm drain, and could take whatever soap or chemicals that you're using, or maybe on the pavement, and could go into the river or wherever your water goes after it goes into the storm drain. Um, so if you think about taking a shorter shower, you could investigate how much water is being used every minute or every 10 minutes, and then you could kind of think about, if I take 5 minutes less in my shower, how much water is that going to save? And so if you are saving water that way, and your whole family is, and maybe your neighbors, once you guys go out and actually educate your communities, there's really a lot of potential to save a lot of water. Oh, sure. So for large urban areas, we require a lot of clean drinking water, especially if we're using 300 liters every day. And this means that the water treatment plants have to use a lot of energy to make the water safe and to get it into our homes. So they need really big pumps and a lot of different treatments, which takes a lot of energy. I know in Saskatchewan here, our energy comes mostly from coal, which isn't the cleanest source of energy. So if we're using more water, then we're using more energy, and it's actually contributing to pollution, carbon dioxide, and greenhouse gases that way. So sometimes you might not think about it. So this could be a good one for people to ask your community, ask your parents if they've even thought about how much energy is being used to treat the water or to treat the wastewater once it's gone through your taps or your faucets. So it may be possible to figure out how much energy is required to treat and distribute a liter of water in your community, and that way you can kind of work backwards to see if I'm taking a shorter shower, how much energy am I saving, and how much pollution am I not putting into the environment. So this is a good one because sometimes people don't really think about this as much. Contaminated water sources, and this all goes back to water treatment as well. If there's industry in your community, how does that industry affect your water source? And so that goes back making sure that people understand where their water comes from and what's going into it and what has to happen to it before it becomes safe drinking water for you to use in your house. So there's different sources of pollution or contamination into your source water. You can see the runoff from agriculture. Does anyone know, can someone tell me maybe why the water would be so green from agriculture? Yeah, that's right. So the fertilizer that farmers use on their fields of crops to help them grow better crops can get picked up by rain and runs off, takes those nutrients, runs them off into the water, and then you can get algae which want to eat the fertilizer to make them grow better too. So you get this green algae everywhere, especially when it's warmer. So maybe in your community you may notice it at certain times of the year. It's really bad. And this just adds another step into water treatment for your community and just makes it more of a cost to clean up your water. Industrial pollution, so the same thing with that is just putting bad stuff into a drinking water supply. Also with your storm drains, everything that the rainwater picks up off the streets usually gets run off, goes into the storm drains, and carried into, I know it's Ashtun in our case, it goes into the river, and then that water from the river goes downstream to the next community who uses it for their water supply. So then they have to treat all the stuff that we put into the water. And that's not a very nice thing to do either. So this is just a few urban water issues, and there's many, many more. This is just to get you guys thinking about what is taking place in your communities and stuff like that. Maybe some of these have made you think a little bit more, and it doesn't have to be water quality. Like we said, it could be the energy or just the water supply and conserving energy or conserving water that way. Yeah, so I went through that pretty quick, but that's all we have right now. We have lots of time for questions, and just thanks everyone for joining today, and thanks to RBC Blue Water Project for allowing us to do this. Offer some feedback. If you want to write down this link, I'm not sure if you can click on it directly. And just to help us make this run a little bit smoother and more interesting for the next future webinars. Has everyone here officially joined our competition? I think I recognize most of the schools, but if you have not and you'd like to take action in your community to change water attitudes and save water and improve your environment, then please follow this link below, sign up officially. Any questions or discussion about the competition in general, or about any urban water issues we've talked about so far? Okay, well, if you have any other questions at any time, or need a little bit more information or advice or technical advice on water issues when you're thinking about getting started and what projects you want to tackle, please feel free to give us a call or send me an email. And I'm available most of the time to talk about urban water issues and what might be a potential for you guys to investigate in your community.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about the ways that you will be judged for the competition. So we're going to come out with more written instructions regarding this soon. But things that you will be looking for are things like the amount of water that was saved, the amount of people who you educated. We'll also be looking for the amount of water-saving devices installed, the amount of pavement that was used, and then the service. I mentioned that you need to have all of these things. We can actually focus on maybe water saving things, but those are the basic things that we'll be looking for. We'll also see pictures of your student projects as well as video would be great. One component is that you must educate the participants about where the water comes from. Without knowing where the water comes from, it's hard for them to really respect the texture of it, to respect the source water protection. It's also difficult for them to really realize how much water there is or there isn't. So it's important for them to know where the water comes from, to have a connection to that. And we'll be coming up with more written guidelines about how the judging will be done hopefully in the next couple of weeks or so. I think there's something that will come in, so we're going to go over those soon. I'll just go on the top. Big echo. Start with a big echo on it. Am I still echoing? Okay, good. Yeah, I had Tim turn off the speakers. Okay, so I was just wanting to talk a little bit about the guidelines that will be used in judging the projects. So, for example, some of the things that we'll be looking for is amount of water saved. So, for example, you might need to have your students, we'll be talking in the next webinar about the surveys, but you might need to have your students, for example, time how long people are showering, or look at the water meters to get some baseline data to see how much water is conserved. Other things that we'll be looking for is installation of water-saving devices. So how many people install, for example, water-saving shower heads, or how many people maybe install low-flush toilets, things like that. Another thing that we would be looking for would be how much area is depaved and replaced with permeable surfaces. So I'm not saying you have to do all of these things. Your project will focus on one or two of these things. For example, you might be trying to get people to install water-saving, water conservation, shower heads. So your data in that sense would be the amount of water saved and also the number of devices installed. We'll also need to know how many people your students contacted, surveyed, educated. We'll also need pictures